Hey friend, Chris here from Logic Pro Rules, the website and channel that helps you get the most you can out of Apple's Logic Pro. Today I want to show you the two audio effects in Logic that I like to rely on heavily to add intrigue to transitional effects in projects. So let's say you've got a project going on and you've got a riser or a sound effect, something to indicate to the listener, hey, something's about to happen here. And while you might like that sound effect or riser, you might be like, yeah, that's cool. You just feel like it could be cooler. How do we make more of a moment out of this thing? And that's where these two plugins come in. So I might be one to overuse these two effects, but I really enjoy them a lot. So let's dig into it. On screen, I have a project with 3 transition moments that use these two plugins that I'm kind of teasing out here. The first transition is at the beginning of the song, right around bar 9. So if I zoom in, and right here is a backwards guitar that leads into the next section at bar 9. So I'm going to hit play and let you hear what's going on transitionally from bar 8 into bar 9. Take a listen.
That's wavy. That's wavy. That's wavy. Yeah.
Okay, so hopefully you're listening on headphones or speakers. That backwards guitar is a transitional moment. The song is called Snake Charmer, so that's the inspiration behind the sound. So the artist and I liked the lead at the beginning, but as the song took shape, that moment, which originally was pretty prominent throughout the song, I later decided it really only fits in the intro, otherwise it kind of conflicts with the vocals. That's where the backwards guitar comes in. So I want you to listen again from bar 7 here to about bar 10, so we really get a sensation of just that moment, and then I'm going to solo that guitar.
That's wavy.
Right, the guitar indicates to us that something else is about to happen here. It's kind of like this low groan that pans left to right. So let's now solo the guitar and take a listen to it by itself. So we're going to take a listen again to just this guitar, and then I'll show you the two plugins that I like to use. Cool, so it pans left to right. It gives that sensation, at least to me, that the room is kind of spinning around us. And then there's this kind of chatter at the end of that moment. So let's open the inspector. Now the two plugins we're going to take a look at are the step effects and tremolo. And I have a whole video dedicated to these two plugins, how to use them as kind of an auto panner. And that's what's going on for this sound. So if we bypass the two effects and take a listen to the guitar, that's cool. If we hear it in the song,
That's wavy.
you know, it's okay, but with the effect in place,
That's wavy.
so let's dissect this. So starting with these step effects, man, step effects has so much good stuff going on in it. And I know taking a look at the plugin can be kind of intimidating because there's all these modules and they can be rearranged, and what does any of this stuff really mean? But the section of the plugin that I really love to lean on is the step modulator at the very bottom, specifically for the pan control. Now you can use the step modulator for just about anything in step effects, but oftentimes when I'm trying to add a little intrigue to a sound, I'm looking for an auto panning effect. And that's perfect with the step effect. So you can literally turn off just about every other module in the plugin. As you can see, I've turned off the mod effects, the delay, the filter, distortion. I've left reverb on at about 25%. But really what this is all about is using the step modulator to modulate the panning of this sound. So let's hear the step effects by itself. Right, we can hear that sound swirling from left to right. And it's really important in this case that the step effects is a stereo plugin. So I've assigned the step effects in stereo, so it will pan left to right. Because if it were a mono channel strip and track, it would have nowhere to go. Now at the bottom are the different steps for the pan control. And honestly, you don't have to think too much about this. You basically just select the pan parameter here, and if it's not assigned, you can just assign it yourself. And then right here under step modulator, you can select different LFO patterns or app patterns. Currently, I have this set to assign pattern, so it's a gentle left to right. As the bars go up, that moves the sound to the left. As the bars go down, that moves the sound to the right. But there are other patterns, such as triangle, a ramp up or down, square, as well as random square or triangle. So that's really the extent of it. I turn off all the other controls in the plugin, I select the pan control, and I just choose a pattern that I think makes sense with the step modulator. The depth control in this case is set to 100%, so it will pan 100% to the left and to the right. And it's based on a 16th note rate. So each step here is 1/16th note division of a bar. And of course, there's a swing parameter as well, if you feel like that's something you need for your own patterns. But there are other app patterns as well, such as syncopation or rolls. For example, if I choose the first syncopated pattern, we can take a listen. Cool, I dig that. But for this sound, I wanted something to gently glide from left to right. Now you can see for the tremolo effect that it's automated. So if I show the automation in the tracks area here and switch the view to tremolo depth, you can see right at the tail end here, you can see the depth increases right at the tail end. So let's close step effects and watch and listen to what goes on. You hear kind of that choppy effect at the end? That's what the tremolo brings to the table. And that's the other element here, is that I'm trying to create a stereo effect, but I also want a little bit of choppiness at the end just to kind of like feel like the sound is breaking up. Because I feel like it just kind of makes a little more of a moment out of it. It doesn't have to be the entire time, but we could try it. So if I turn off automation, if I turn depth 100%, take a listen. That's pretty cool. We can make it a little less fast so it's more obvious what's going on. With an 8th note rate, the tremolo is hard panning the sound left to right. So it's basically two panning effects going on. The step effects is gliding left to right. The tremolo plugin is hard panning left to right. Now, this is kind of redundant. Why would I choose to have two panning effects? Well, I like the glide of the step effects, but I wanted things to get choppy at the end. And while I could use the gate mix here in step effects, it just felt faster to use the tremolo. So that's it in a nutshell. If we turn automation back on, and let's hear before and after again before I move on to the next transition. Right, we're panning. And if we turn this back on, pretty cool. Shortly after that, I include another transition effect with a backwards vocal to kind of ramp things up again. Let's take a listen to this vocal effect right here.
Old blood, fat shed skin, and what? Traditions of fangs, businesses is always winding sideways, least without the yin and yang, particularly is tasting strange.
Right, there's this backwards delay effect. If we just solo this region right here, and I'll turn off the tremolo, take a listen. It's a backwards delay. And I'm pretty sure I have a hidden track somewhere where I applied the delay. Yeah, I used the Valhalla delay here. Yeah, so I have this effect with the Valhalla delay, but I bounced it in place in reverse so I can further manipulate it if I needed to with flex. So once again, we have the stereo effect going on, in this case with delay, and then we add the tremolo. Take a listen and a look. And once again, I'm getting real choppy on the tail end of that riff. In this case, using a rate of 30-second triplet. And if we take a look at the automation, it just ramps up at the end there. Awesome. I really like that effect. And that's just using the tremolo. So I'm not trying to pan left to right. There's already a stereo width to it, thanks to our delay. So once again, if we hear it in the mix, both before and after,
Old blood, fat shed skin, and what? Traditions of fangs, businesses is always winding sideways, least without the yin.
That's super cool in my opinion. I really like it, but I just feel like it could be a little cooler with the tremolo.
Old blood, fat shed skin, and what? Traditions of fangs, businesses is always winding sideways, least without the.
Yeah, so for me, for this production, I'm stoked about that. The last example for this video is right towards the end in the third verse. If I select the track and channel strip, you'll see the step effects. And in this case, the step effects, I'm using both the pan, and instead of tremolo, I'm using the gate mix. There's still a bit of reverb, but again, it's all about the step modulator and the step effects. So let's now hear this moment.
It the away with the collect. Is this not just entertainment? Walk spread neurotoxin, attain it, adopt new ethos, every circle is vacant.
So we have this breath sound that kind of goes all over the place. Check it out. I love the choppiness of it, and I love that little burst at the end. So if we bypass the step effects and hear it by itself, there's this really creepy breath sound, and it's punctuated at the end. And thanks to step effects, to start with, we have the panning. And in this case, I've set the pan to a random square. So it's randomly panning around the stereo spectrum. All right, cool. And then the gate mix is set to a custom pattern where it's on a 30-second note pattern and it's just chopping in and out. So you can see my technique has pretty much been the same each and every time. Some sort of stereo effect, it could be reverb, it could be delay, or panning left and right, followed by a gating effect essentially. And I really dig that. If we hear it without step effects in the mix,
Is this not just entertainment? Walk spread neurotoxin.
I mean, that's cool. But this is cooler, at least to me.
Is this not just entertainment? Walk spread neurotoxin.
Right there, the step effects and tremolo plugins are two plugins you can use to create more of a moment of your transitional ideas in your projects. And recognize that just because I'm using these super choppy gated effects and making things sort of jarring to grab your attention, it doesn't have to be that way for your projects. It could be a more gentle panning left to right, or a more gentle pulsing, right? Whatever works for your song. But I just want to point that out. These two plugins, I love them. So I hope this video was helpful for you, and I'll check you for more later next week. Take care.